Well, ladies and gentlemen, after that, it is now time for our AI strategy panel on the topic AI strategy, the epiphany of digital transformation. Well, as the industries accelerate their investments in AI and work on developing AI skills and talents to support the rapidly expanding AI ecosystem, AI is also increasingly being used to create new opportunities to improve various industry sectors. Well, we're looking at covering about how AI strategy has a foundational aspect of accomplishing digital transformation, navigating new regulatory environment and AI policy. With massive data comes opportunity to identify patterns and respond faster and better. What is the role of data and analytical strategy in government? Also building advanced digital infrastructure to enable up-to-date digital services using AI. Data being the key for all things AI, what is the government doing to prepare for the AI revolution? Driving adoption via pilots, artificial intelligence ethics framework, and how do we ensure compliance and security in a regulated environment and industry? Well, ladies and gentlemen, for this panel, we're elated first up to be joined by our Dr. Karl NG, Vice President, Data Ecosystem Development, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, which is the MDEC. Well, Dr. Karl leads MDEC's efforts in building a thriving national data ecosystem that leverages on the power of data for value creation, innovation, and new sources of growth. He also chairs the National Data Sharing Policy Task Force. So with this, I'd like to humbly welcome Dr. Karl to join us. Thank you, Dr. Karl, for your valuable time today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Likewise, sir. Great to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, also joining us is Lieutenant Colonel Francil Margaret Tabrupa, the Head Executive Assistant to Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity, and IS Officer, National Task Force Against COVID-19 Philippines. Well, recently adjudged as one of the top 10 women in cybersecurity Philippines 2020 and one of the top 30 in security in ASEAN 2021, her career has taken her through 25 years of study, research, teaching, and administration. With this, I'd like to humbly welcome Lieutenant Colonel Francil to join us. Thank you for your valuable time. How are you doing today?
I'm good and nice to be here.
Great to have you. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, also joining us back is Sutopo Wong, Director, Data Analytics, Ministry of Health. Well, Sutopo is responsible for analytical strategy, management, and prioritization of analytical portfolio, capability development, data management, and data science in MOH. He's somebody who's worked with organizations in public service, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, CPG, retail, telco, banking, insurance, energy, airlines, and hospitality in Southeast Asia, China, India, and Japan. Thank you so much, Sutopo, for joining us and giving us your valuable time again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. And ladies and gentlemen, now joining us is Dr. Chen Li, who's the Director, Secretary General, Taipei Smart City Project Management Office, Global Organization of Smart Cities. Well, Dr. Li has worked on numerous central government projects, including the Smart City Promotion Project, Cloud Computing Industry Project, UX Project, e-learning project, and has over 15 years of research experience in the ICT-related industry. Thank you so much, Dr. Chen Li, for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's now my honor to present to you the moderator of this session. We've got Luis F. Gonzalez, AI Asia Pacific Institute co-founder and director. Well, Mr. Gonzalez has 23 years of experience in leading and development of AI solutions, enterprise software, and digital transformation of industrial enterprises, and with development and implementations of ERP control analytics, historians, GIS, and machine deep learning AI platform solutions. Thank you so much, Mr. Gonzalez, for joining us today and being a part of our wonderful show. It's great to have you. How are you doing today?
Thank you for the invitation. We're happy to be here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, you've got your eminent panel on your stage and screen, and it is now my time to pass on to the live baton to Mr. Gonzalez, who's the moderator and session chair, to take it forth with his panel. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Bhavana, and welcome to all our panelists. This is a very interesting topic because we know very well that regulated environments produce certain amount of facilitation and hurdles for the purpose of implementing machine learning. And the impacts are significant because we're looking at a citizen group, we're looking at the safety and well-being of peoples rather than just achieving a particular result with machine learning. So in this case, this panel, I'm pretty excited about understanding a bit better the practical aspect of developing some of this, of achieving what they're looking for in their strategy. So perhaps to start, I would love to hear a quick intro of the work that your country's doing in achieving AI value out of the applications you're working on, and get a sense of what you're focusing on today. If we could start perhaps with, let's say, Dr. Lee.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Louis. This is Chen Lee from Taipei Smart City Office. In Taipei, actually, I'm not talking about this question from the national side, but maybe more focusing on the city level. As we both know that the AI is one of the most important factor in smart city, and also the data is the key for to improve the AI. So in Taipei, we have a couple of things to make sure that the AI will be applied in our smart city in every level. So for the city level, I mean the mayor level, we have a 2 committee to deal with that. So for the first one, we have a smart committees. So we'll have a group of the expert and also the commissioner level, and they deal with the how to apply the new AI smart solutions. That's for the first one. And also we have another committee that's called the data governancy committee. So we not only need to deal with the solution, we also need to resolve the how to collect the data and how to protect the privacy issues. And for under the Department of IT, that's a very more like a CTO, the commissioner, more like a CTO of the city government. They have a department, we call it Department of IT. A data center was built to collect all kind of data from about 2 years ago. So we need to collect all the data to a data center that is more like a city level data center. And from all kind of the solution we have done in the past, for example, 6 years, actually my office was started from 6 years ago. And it's all kind of the data based on lots of pre-set up scenarios, such as COVID-19. For example, in the past in the past few months, we spent a lot of time to collect all kind of data of the COVID-19, and also need to analyze and provide very, a very concrete solution, concrete outcome to our mayors, so that make the AI can be applied in real scenarios. And for my office, we more like to, we like to play the bridge between the private company who provide all kind of AI smart solutions, and also make them to work with different departments to be able to provide AI service to the citizens. Actually, it's a very, very, very difficult job, and because I think I will mention that later due to the time. And we do lots of smart solution AI services such as mobility, education, and environment, and extra. So that's how exactly the Taipei city government, to deal with the AI, especially when all kind of the solution that come with AI. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. Maybe Lieutenant Margaret.
Thank you, Luis. Good morning, everyone. I'm Franzel, and I serve in the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And currently, I work as a consultant in the National Task Force Against COVID-19 as the Information Systems Officer. So since COVID is the focus now, so we're really approaching this in a whole of government approach. So we're trying to look at how AI can aid in the government's response against the pandemic. So in terms of the Philippines' effort in preparation for the application of AI, we have our Department of Trade and Industry, who launched the National Artificial Intelligence Roadmap. So this made the Philippines one of the first 50 countries in the world to have a national strategy as well as a policy on AI. Through this roadmap, our country hopes to establish the Philippines as an AI center for excellence in the region. So this will be backed up by local talent pools and a vibrant innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. So our country's aim is to be an AI powerhouse in the region. Thus, this roadmap will establish this private sector-led National Center for AI Research. This will serve as a shared hub for all AI research. So our AI roadmap would help the country to be a hub for data processing. So we will be providing high-value data analytics and AI services to the world, given that our country now has a very strong business process management sector. So we're trying to bank on that as a foundation. So AI is a vital innovation amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So because of the human-to-human interaction should be limited, so AI is a very big factor in this. So currently, AI can also be used in contact tracing, health assessment, and monitoring, as well as knowledge management and addressing, of course, the supply chain issues, which is very, very important at this point. So while there is fear that AI will automate so many jobs that millions of Filipinos might find themselves unemployed, this fear should instead be viewed as opportunities for new possibilities. So the structure of the workforce will change, it will be newer, it will be better, and there will be higher income jobs that will emerge. So AI will allow the country to create a knowledge-based economy, which can leverage to create a more inclusive and prosperous society. So hopefully this will be in the near future for the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Since we're going north to south, maybe Malaysia, Dr. Karl.
Thank you so much. We started, the whole the ICT effort many years ago in 1996 when we actually launched the Multimedia Super Corridor. Right. I think since then we have built a critical mass when it comes to the supply of technology. We have more than 3,000, companies who actually attain MSc status, and they're doing a lot of different services and solutions in all different areas, including AI, big data, and other solutions as well. In 1996, we launched something called the National Big Data Framework, which aims to look at accelerating the adoption of big data analytics in Malaysia, right? And what we found out is, in order to drive this, a key emphasis that we need to focus on is on talent, right? And then back then we set a national target of 20,000 data scientists or data professionals, and within the year 2020, and we have achieved that. Right. So moving forward, the focus is really on the, how do you bring digital across Malaysia, where digital can be adopted in all different sectors. And because of this, the government has developed something called the My Digital Blueprint that aims to accelerate the digital economy adoption in all different sectors in Malaysia. Right, so this blueprint was launched only recently, and it provides with the overall vision, objectives, and it comes with 6 trust areas and 22 strategies. And within this, one of the things that we're looking at is the use of IR technology, including big data analytics, IoT, as well as AI. Right, and we have done some work on the AI as well, where we have developed AI framework, and the government have developed a roadmap, AI roadmap, where this will provide journey with clear milestones in terms of what we want to achieve when it comes to AI roadmap. And I'm unable to provide more details of the roadmap, because this has not been published or approved yet, but these are in the works right now. And at the same time, I think in terms of the ecosystem, we do have companies, startups who are focusing on this. We have more than 100 startups who are focusing on AI. And we are in the midst of trying to get more companies, to embrace AI at the moment. We are also looking at different use cases as well in AI, especially in some of the priorities areas, such as agriculture, healthcare, manufacturing, and so forth, right? So those are the things that we're looking at, and believe that we need to do more to move the nation towards a data and AI-driven nation moving forward.
Thank you very much. And maybe Singapore, Mr. Wong, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, thanks. I see a lot of similarities with regard to the AI strategies across the different countries in the region that's been shared. I thought that's very interesting. Like, for example, focusing on partnership with the private sector, research, looking at beyond technical area, in looking at data governance, for example, making sure that it improves lives for people. I see a lot of similarities. In Singapore, we launched the National AI Strategy in 2019. The strategy maps out how Singapore will develop and use AI to transform the economy and improve people's lives. And it has three objectives. First, turning Singapore into a global hub for developing, test bidding, deploying, and scaling AI solutions. This includes learning how to govern and manage the impact of AI. Second, government and businesses to use AI to generate economic value and improve lives. Third, society as a whole to understand the benefits, limitations, and the risk of AI. The workforce is equipped with the necessary competencies to thrive in an AI-driven economy. Thus far, we have initially committed more than 500 million to fund AI activities under the Research, Innovation, and Enterprise Plan. To further increase our impact, recently we have announced that we are setting aside another additional 180 million to accelerate foundational and also translational AI research. This is on top of the 500 million that was committed so far. Our investment in R&D for AI is actually not large compared to global investments in this field, but by focusing on where we can make the greatest impact, we can make every effort count. We started with 5 national AI programs covering areas such as transport and logistics, smart cities and estates, healthcare, education, as well as safety and security. These programs have made good progress. We have also since expanded the national AI program to finance and government. One of the projects under healthcare that I've shared earlier is Selena Plus, which is Singapore Eye Lesion Analyzer. It is an AI system that detects diabetic retinopathy from retinal scans. This has allowed us to provide early interventions more quickly and more accurately. It will also help us overcome our shortages in trained healthcare professionals who can then detect the high-risk patients early and prevent future blindness for our patients.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting because in the Institute, when we talk to different countries, and we've been lucky enough to participate with Japan and Korea and India, we see a lot of congruence, I would say, with regards to the strategy and how it's laid out, to how you very well pointed. We all seem to be struggling with exact same ways in different forms, but there is also similar ambitions, right? That we're looking for similar outcomes to a degree. And I think that what's really useful is when we look at the strategy, not from a perspective of focusing on technology, but a perspective of focusing on an outcome that the technology enables, right? So to that extent, I would love to hear more about what is it that in your particular context or your particular countries is the highest priority outcome that you're looking for, or one of the, you could say, quick win or the low-hanging fruits that you're trying to achieve. I heard economic development. I've heard the citizen movement. It would be great to hear from you in the areas perhaps of healthcare, smart city, education, citizen safety. What are the outcomes that you could see that you're hoping basically calls out your strategy a success, right? What are the outcomes that your individual countries are going for? Maybe let's start now south to north. Let's deal with you, Mr. Wong.
Thanks. So in terms of outcome, as I've shared earlier, really is looking around generating economic value and improving lives and making sure that as a society, we are all well equipped to take advantage of AI. So that's the outcome that we are seeking. In terms of how that focus area for us really is, I think very similar to what has been shared on Taipei side, and also Philippines and Malaysia. We are looking at how we can strengthen a few things. One is partnership. The second one is education and training. From our experience implementing national AI strategy, there are actually a range of challenges involved, from securing access to the right data, redesigning workflow, to ensuring good AI governance. And each of these challenges are multifaceted and complex. This is why a key focus of our national AI strategy has been to strengthen partnership between the government, academia, and industry, so we can work together to address these challenges effectively. The most impactful innovation involves a combination of skills and talents across many different domains, different disciplines, whether technical or non-technical. One example I think I've shared earlier is also an AI in Health Grand Challenge, where with funding with our National Research Foundation, we have allocated up to 35 million to support the co-development of AI solutions between our public healthcare institutions and institutes of higher learning. We've also set up regulatory sandboxes and partnered with industry to test and refine AI technology in a safe environment. One example is the Data Regulatory Sandbox by our Personal Data Protection Commission. It is aimed at helping businesses explore and pilot innovative uses of data. On the training side, to help Singaporeans take on good jobs in an AI-driven economy, we have and will continue to invest heavily in our people. Since 2016, the program has helped more than 10,000 adult Singaporeans acquire new tech skills and place them in good tech jobs, including AI. In addition to professional training, we're also helping Singaporeans acquire foundational AI and digital skills through our Ministry of Education's National Digital Literacy Program that was launched in March 2020. For example, all students in the 2021 intake of our Institute of Higher Learning will acquire baseline digital competencies such as data, computational thinking, and so on. And beyond the schools, we are also stepping up foundational AI and digital skills training for Singaporeans. For instance, since 2018, AI Singapore has trained more than 55,000 individuals with basic AI awareness through their foundational AI skills programs.
So there's definitely a lot of measurable outcomes that you're not only achieving, but looking to continue to achieve. It'll be great to hear more from the other countries, perhaps now Malaysia. If we could go with Dr. Karl.
Okay, thank you, Luis. With regards to the focus area that we were looking at, the focus is really to drive the impact in three different areas. One is the area of citizen, second is the business, and lastly it's on the government side perspective, right? We have outlined a few objectives which is critical. I think related to this is jobs. Secondly is actually looking at driving industry competitiveness. Thirdly is also making sure that we have the right environment to allow AI development work to take place, and to drive innovation, as well as to solve society related problems, right? So those are the areas that we are looking at when it comes to AI and how to solve this. And this is actually aligned with the overall My Digital Blueprint that was announced, right? So based on that blueprint, we have a target of creating 500,000 jobs. In terms of startups, 5,000 startups, and also making sure that the online services the government is fully utilized. There's a target to look at cloud usage across all government, and all of you know, cloud is the key platform enabler for AI to take place. So when the data is on the cloud, then you're able to do a lot more AI sort of activity moving forward, right? In order to drive this, we are looking at different building blocks, enablers. Obviously, talent is key, right? So there's a heavy emphasis on the talent, looking at the AI talent. Second is looking at how do you create more awareness and AI literacy cut across different sectors. Thirdly is you know, to look at the governance, right? So the AI governance in terms of data ethics and so forth. And you also are also looking at you know, innovation and R&D as well, right? You know, I think the key to this is also you know, availability of data, right? Because in order to fuel data, you need data, and we're also looking at you know, the national data sharing policy to start our journey to enable and to make more data available, so that we're able to do more AI moving forward, right? So those are the things that we are doing, and you know, at the national sort of level, and of course, there's a lot of pockets of excellence related to this, which most probably I will explain later.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned struggles as well. And as we answer through the Philippines and Taiwan, it would be great to get a sense of the struggles you're also having. I think that it's very clear that talent is one of those big struggles for everyone across Asia. So as we go to the Philippines, maybe Lieutenant Margaret, you could tell us a little bit more about the challenges that you're also running through.
Yes, Luis, I kind of resonated with Dr. Wong and Dr. Karl in their points. But in the Philippines, since artificial intelligence is actually being considered by businesses of all sizes to solve real-world business problems now, implementing machine learning and AI have given significant impact on the efficiency of any organization. So intelligent systems can help reduce the risk of human errors by automating a large amount of work. So systems will learn and become smarter over time with AI, and it will produce better results for the organization. However, in terms of the challenges, in the Philippines, the use of digital technologies is still below its potential. So with the country's digital adoption, generally, we're trailing behind many of our regional neighbors because we are a developing country, and some, if not most, still live in below the poverty line. So there's a struggle in terms of the digital divide in the country between those with and without the internet. And so this leads to unequal access to social services and, in effect, to life-changing economic opportunities as well for the country as a whole. So also institutions, both public and private in the Philippines, still need a thorough understanding of what artificial intelligence really is, and also its value to their operations before actually making any technology-related decisions. So sometimes this causes delay. So in one report, actually, there's a leading artificial intelligence solutions and service company in the Philippines. There is still a lack of comprehension in terms of the more complex aspects of AI. So this could impact how organizations move forward in the digital transformation journey. So this is actually, despite the rapid digital transformation that organizations have undergone in recent years. So I think this could relate also to what Dr. Wong was saying a while ago about education, which is really very important. Thank you
very much. That's actually a really key aspect of everyone's strategy and a foundational aspect of the advancement and how fast or how slow countries can move on it. Perhaps to you, Dr. Lee, with regards to your challenges and also the outcomes that Taiwan is going after.
Okay, thank you. Actually, in Taiwan, AI is a very hot topic for both public sector and also the private sector. So for the central government, actually, we do have lots of programs, help to promote AI. We encourage the researchers to all kind of the AI research and developing all kind of the AI, key core and all kind of the algorithm, and also helping the private company to train their staff by establishing an AI school. Yes, we have a special AI school that only training the employee from the private company, and also encourage all kind of the and big companies stop to apply AI into their products by offering a very special cities. So that's for the government level, and for the city level. I think AI is more treated as a part of small government. So it's more like a fundamental. It's more like a horizontal functions. So in Taipei, we will try to use all kind of the AI solution to resolve our city problem. So. So that's why we call it smart city because that's why call it smart. And in Taipei, we have 8 domains that was defined as the first priority, such as mobility, safety, healthcare, environment, education, building, and governancy, of course. And I think most of the solution comes from the mobility because for the smart transportation and smart mobility, it's more easy to how to show the ability of the AI. For example, we do lots of solution for the traffic management by for example detecting the traffic flow, and also using the lots of camera to detect the violation and lots of things, and also to design the optimal traffic flows, something like that. And also we spend lots of time to help to try to test the autonomous bus in Taipei. That's also lots of usage of the AI. So basically, as my experience, traffic is the most popular domain for apply all kind of AI solutions. And I think there's also lots of different domains also use AI. For example, healthcare and for healthcare and also the medication. So need lots of change of the regulation. So that's also involve the problem of the AI. I think we face the 2 major. I mean, in Taipei, in Taiwan, we face the 2 major problem when we try to adapt all kind of AI. The first one is the system of the government, because now we have lots of very new AI solutions, and we all need, we need to do all kind of the tasks, all kind of pilot to do all kind of tasks to make sure that the AI solution is good enough to resolve all kind of the problems from government side. But our government system is very difficult to adapt risk and failure in the past. So that's why exactly what we do in the past 6 years, we try to revise the system, helping the government can be able to adapt new ideas, new solutions. And the second one is when there's more and more AI service appears, it makes the public servant need to change their behaviors. For example, in the past, it's very easy to understand the technology because it's not so smart. But now all kind of the solution, all kind of the possibility appears. So for the public servant, they need to learn more. So that's the first problem. And also they need to rethinking and redesign the tenders. Because if we try to use all kind of the AI solutions, that makes the tender is totally different from the past. And also how to make sure the acceptance of the outcome. I think that's also the major problem for the public servant. So I think one of the major, I mean, the most of the major problem come from the system of the government itself. I mean, at least now we saw the major problem in Taiwan is this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. And I think that as a form of a last question, you've touched into deployability and some of the challenges that this brings. We've seen in the financial sector a model of fairness, ethics, transparency, and accountability, or FEAT principles led by MAS. And it's not something new, particularly to the region or to the sector, but the financial sector has been one of the early adopters of these kinds of frameworks to ensure the right outcomes come from AI. I would like to get your personal opinion, not perhaps as a representative of your country, but as practitioner of AI, on these frameworks, and what role does government play in not only bringing those frameworks and maybe enforcing them through policy, but maybe acting those frameworks themselves, right? How accountable, how fair, how transparent does government need to be when publishing or when implementing these kinds of models? So, and this is an open question to anyone that has an opinion. Feel free to take the floor.
That's a great question, Luis. If I may share, as AI become more pervasive, its impact on our lives will increase, right? And we have to strengthen the trust from businesses, from consumers through the safe and ethical use of AI. So there are two dimensions that we look at, right? You mentioned MAS, right? Monetary Authority of Singapore. So there is a sector-specific AI governance guidelines that are published. Healthcare, we have just published one. So there are sector-specific guidelines that we have. And as a horizontal, our Infocom Media and Development Authority, as well as Personal Data Protection Commission, have also released guidelines on model governance framework and use cases that are cross sectors. So that's first dimension, horizontal and sectoral approach. The second dimension that we look at really is that we cannot look at everything through the lens of regulation. Like for example, in healthcare,
yes,
our Health Sciences Authority, they have this AI medical devices regulation that applies to commercial AI solutions. But we do note that there is another class of AI solutions that are developed in-house. Instead of putting on more regulation, what we do is to then look at guidelines, best practices, and that's precisely how our guideline is meant to address. And it addresses not just the developers of AI solutions, but also implementers, right? Our hospitals, our public healthcare institutions, or healthcare institutions in general, how they look at applications of AI solutions, and targeted at clinicians, targeted at administrators as well. So we take a broader approach because if we put more and more regulation, we might inevitably stifle innovations as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, standards as a way to mitigate overregulation. Anybody else wants to comment before we wrap up our panel?
May I, Luis?
Yes, please.
You see, we have to embrace the fact that the human and the machine now are very tightly interwoven. So these days, human collaboration with different machines are, it's a given. It's actually more of a need now. So we're always on our phones, our cities are getting smart and all that. So people are getting concerned that machines are going to change humans. But if we look at it in a different lens, that machines will enhance humans and our processes, then it will be more to our advantage. So as I said a while ago, in the Philippines, the Department of Trade and Industry launched the National Artificial Intelligence Roadmap. So this encompasses the policies that the Philippines would take in terms of AI. So that's how we will be embracing the policy that was formerly given. So these frameworks, these initiatives aim to help businesses develop and deploy AI technologies in a responsible manner. So it is quickly becoming the foundation for innovation, and it is powered by different types of machine learning, which recognizes that there are patterns in data to make predictions. So as AI give value to businesses by providing a more in-depth understanding of the vast amount of data that is available and proliferating these days, they rely on the predictions to automate overly complex or mundane tasks. So therefore, policy is a must. It's a must. So coming from the military organization, especially, we operate through these policies. We move if there are policies that guide us, directives, SOPs, and orders for us to mobilize. So this holds true for any AI-related initiative that we will undertake, also for not just for the government, for the military as well. So in order to provide firms with a set of foundational principles to consider when using AI in decision making, there is a need to assist firms in contextualizing and operationalizing governance of the use of AI in their own respective business models and structures. So overall, it likewise promotes public confidence and trust as well in the use of AI.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your answers. Unfortunately, we were running out of time, but it was been a very interesting conversation around how does this become deployable. I thank you all for your time, Mr. Wong, Dr. Lee, Dr. Karl, Lieutenant Margaret. I thank you for all your time, and hopefully we could get to have another conversation like this soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Louis, for moderating it so wonderfully. Thank you to all our speakers.